You know, there's no doubt that baseball is my favorite sport and always has been because I was raised with it. You know, I had a kind of an interesting childhood, dysfunctional childhood, raised primarily through a long stretch by my grandmother. When I was a kid, she was in her late 50s, early 60s, and she had vision problems, glaucoma, cataracts, and of course, back in the 60s, that was pretty much a big impact for your eyesight, you know, when you had those things. And we also just had a kind of a loud house, a lot of things happening that kind of stirred the pot all the time. But the one thing that was always a steady part of my life was baseball. Because every morning I'd get up and my grandmother had been up listening to the Astros games. And she'd be the one that would be with a transistor radio next to her on her pillow. Again, she couldn't see very well, but she could sure hear. And she'd talk about Gene Elston and Lowell Pass and Harry Callis and all these guys who were giving the play-by-play of the Astros games and what had happened the night before. And what was kind of fun was that even when things were kind of rocking and rolling at our house and there was some things happening that maybe weren't all that pleasant sometimes, that was the one thing that we were together on. That was the one thing that every day I had to look forward to, whether it was in the morning when I was having breakfast with her and she would talk to me about baseball and about the Astros game. The Astros would be playing in these far-off exotic places like Pittsburgh and San Francisco and places you would just never have imagined that you'd ever get to see in your life, you know, when you're a kid growing up in Corpus Christi, Texas. That was the moment where I just fell in love with baseball because, you know, and all the things that happened in my household, all the things that happened in my family, baseball was the one constant. I'm not going to get all James Earl Jones on you here and, you know, and talk a Field of Dreams speech, but it was kind of like that. Baseball was the one constant. Baseball was the one thing that we loved and we cared for and that my grandmother and I could agree on and speak at a certain level on. I grew up with that and I've always loved baseball ever since. It's just been something that's spoken to my heart because it spoke to my heart back when I was a kid in a very different and special way.